Should be good. Da, 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 da. Yes. It's showing us if you're live.
Okay. Then good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. I am Sneha Jadhav, and this is our Weeklywed session. Thank you for being here. We are back after our summer break. It was a good break. I hope you guys also had a good summer or having a good summer. So now that we're back, our theme is going to be no points for guessing, generative AI. So today we're going to start off with Supriya Buwalka. Sorry for that. Thank you, Supriya, for being here. So today we're going to start off with Supriya Buwalka. Sorry for that. Thank you, Supriya, for being here. So today we're going to start off with Supriya Buwalka. Sorry about that. So thank you again, Supriya, for being here. Supriya has an impressive background, and I'll let her talk about it. But she is been in EdTech. She is founder of an EdTech institution. She has been working with a lot of kids, women, bringing on non-technical users to technical to use technology. And very passionate about it for what we spoke last, Supriya. So thank you for being here. But before we get started, I do want to tell everyone present here that this is being live streamed and recorded. So just a disclaimer. So thank you, Supriya, for being here. I will actually give it to you to start off with your introduction. Take it away.
Okay. Thank you, Sneha, and thank you, Sudha, for having me here. And I hope you all can see my screen.
Yes, we can see it fine.
So today I'll be talking about something that I'm extremely passionate about, AI literacy for all. And I'm the founder of Coding and More. So a little bit about me. My education is in math and economics from a women's college, Wellesley College in the US. Though I started my career in derivatives at CSFB, I quickly realized that my passion actually lies in education. And I spent almost a decade in counseling children for study abroad. And that's when I learned, that for me, learning is joyful. But for others, it was more like ticking off a checkbox to go from one institute to the other until you land the dream job. And that's not really education. For me, education is life skill enhancement. And I got an opportunity to start my entrepreneurial journey by taking a franchise for a Japanese company for math and English, which also I have been running now for almost 8 years. And it was in 2019 that I wanted to do more, something of my own. And that's how Coding and More started. So a little bit about Coding and More. We started in 2019, just before lockdown. We started with coding simply because coding is applied math. It was a natural transition from what was my area of expertise. And as I was doing more research, I realized that AI literacy, AI curriculum for K-12 exists, and it's so powerful because suddenly all the technologies that we see around us start making sense. And I pivoted into AI education for K-12. Again, from my own life journey and the ones I see around, me, women, whether they are in the US or India, we all take a hit on our careers, due to family reasons. We take a sabbatical, and we have a tough time coming back to the workforce. So when it was my own company, I was like, what? I need to have a business model which resonates with my philosophy of joyful learning, where women are not stressed, people are not stressed to be coming up, showing up for work when things are going on at home. So we have a model where it's all women educated team, flexi time, work from home. So you never have to take a break in your career. and you're always on, and giving the best education to the children. And a testimonial to our work has been the multiple international awards that our children have won, in the World AI competition, Microsoft Imagine Junior Cup. In fact, just a week back, we came to know that one of our teams is a finalist at the Technovation Girls, in the US. So these are a few of the awards that I am rattling off. Besides this, as I said, I believe in AI literacy for all. So from children now, we are also doing, AI training for corporates, for adults. Whoever wants to learn, if we can teach you, we are happy to teach you. So that's a little bit about us.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And like I said, it is absolutely impressive and really great work that you're doing around this. So help us understand a little more about what are the challenges that you face when you talk about AI literacy with each of your three groups that you mentioned, like women, kids, and also non-technical users.
So I think that, when we started with AI education, which was more in 2020 and during lockdown, what we found is that most people, in spite of using AI, and that time we didn't have generative AI, people used AI, coding, and robotics interchangeably. Today, people know the distinction between chemistry, biology, and physics. They all are sciences, but they don't use it interchangeably. But AI, people were using interchangeably and still are with coding and robotics. And they really are not the same thing. So that is one of the biggest challenges that I have faced, in trying to have people realize the importance of AI literacy for everyone. And the second challenge was, and to help them recognize that it is different from coding and robotics, and each has its own merit. The second challenge that I faced was the self-selection. A lot of people believe that AI, because it's tech, is only for people who are STEM oriented and who are good at math and coding. But in my mind, AI is an all-purpose technology. And today, with the advent of, no-code, low-code platforms, and with the advent of generative AI, everyone must learn AI. So those are the two biggest challenges that I faced personally.
Right. And then when you start these folks off, like, what are the basics? Like, you have to you can't directly jump to AI and start with classification and regression algorithms. What is the base? Like, how do you start? Like, what technologies do you start with? And then build them up to maybe AI, right?
So, Sneha, that's a very interesting question. And I think my pure math background really helps me define the way I look at things. So, for me, everything starts with a definition. It's how you define AI and how you then build the rules around it. So the way we start is by using really simple language, using analogies that children and people understand. And AI is nothing but training a machine, right? Just like you would train a human. So we start with what is AI, how does it learn, what are the different data sources. We use for children a lot of visual platforms so that what they are learning is conceptual and transferable from a visual platform to a text editor kind of a platform. For adults, again, we customize our programs depending upon the use case rather than having a cookie cutter module for adults or corporates.
Got it.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It does. I was wondering that do you need to have like SQL background? Do you need to learn how to build in data? Okay. So
nothing.
It's mainly no code. So basically you use low code or no code in order to drive results through AI, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
We do have a AI developer course, for people who want to do that. So in that case, we will use, one of the editors and make them code everything from scratch. But primarily we function in the low code, no code environments.
So, and that is very good, like, because I think that's the evolution, right? That we are seeing, which is you don't need to know how to code in order to use AI. And I think we are, of course, with ChatGPT, we are there, but then it'll be interesting to see some of the use cases that you teach in your courses or that you have come across. So I believe you have a couple demos or to show us about certain use cases. So I think that will be really great to jump into now.
Sure. Would you like me to go into the use cases right away?
Yeah, you can jump in. Yeah.
Sure. So essentially, the two favorite tools that I'm right now playing with, and we have not yet completely incorporated it into our modules, are both generative AI platforms. One is Adobe Firefly. And the reason, I personally like Adobe Firefly is because AI ethics is something which is very important for me. I believe that today technology is changing so quickly that governments are not being able to play catch up. And Adobe sort of is already incorporating a lot of AI ethics in their platform. So that you had a question.
I just want to make sure that we get people on the same page about generative AI, because people who are talking about generative AI today are already, playing with various tools, know the difference between regular AI and generative AI. And since you're talking about bringing everybody into AI literacy, one of my observation is people come from various backgrounds. Like, you are a smart mathematician, right? And then you said, I don't know coding. But when you just say you don't know coding, people will assume that people will not assume you're a mathematician. As soon as you're a mathematician, they'll think it's easy for you, right? So
Right.
I just want to see whether we can give a give a definition of what is generative AI, where this Firefly fits in, and then you're jumping into the AI ethics, because that's where I would take you if you're having a conversation with me on this. But it will help for our audience to tell them what is generative AI and what
Sure.
has been added in Adobe Firefly, why it matters. And then maybe you can take your screen, your share off on and off periodically so we can see you. And then when you
Okay.
show the demo, you can go back to the Firefly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. So
No, get
I'm
off
going.
the share and talk to us about generative AI and then go back, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Thank you.
don't mind at all. So the way I define AI is it's a tool that helps enhance productivity for people. That was whether it's traditional AI or generative AI. The difference between traditional AI, what we call classification, and generative AI is that the traditional AI was working quietly in our applications without users being aware that it was learning from them and making life more simpler by personalizing the outputs for them. Generative AI is more when it's in the hands of the users, and here now the user has control over this tool and is able to create new content, whether it's text, images, videos, sounds, etc. And now with visual prompting, data models, the user has control on using this tool to enhance their productivity. That's how I would distinguish between generative AI and traditional AI. But in all, AI is a tool which enhances human productivity, and it's an imperfect tool, which is why people need to be AI literate. Recognizing it's not like a calculator that once it gives you an answer, that is it. You have to have it human centric, where you apply your own mind to it.
Supriya, if I may add one thing, when I teach AI in my Stanford class or on Business School of AI, I go through, and these are adult learners, meaning they are working in industry, they are playing with AI, or they might be aware of AI in some form. They might have a role in building AI, but they are not hands-on enough, or involved in one dimension of it. Maybe they are doing data engineering or something, right? Or they are the anthropologists who are trying to bring reduce bias in AI and stuff. So I'm thinking of multiple phases whenever I talk about AI. So AI adding productivity, I would say, hey, it's in the hands of who wants to use it, right? So I usually give like a very technology definition, saying AI is trained by data. All past technology was built by programmers, right? And then generative AI, people are excited because it's generating content, it's generating music, and claiming to be the, a creative, which it is not. But I like your definition of saying it is a productivity tool. It's a tool. It's imperfect. I love that, right? I think the way the world is looking at generative AI is because there are more people who are early adopters and evangelists who are excited about it. Um, it is not quite that people will know it is generative AI. So the most common example I show in my classes, I say, pick up your phone and tell me what is generative AI in there. And the autocorrect, right? Now Google has embedded uh, their Palm Lambda into uh, the Google Docs. So I
Yes.
can have a Google document and then I can highlight something and say, change the tone of this to become formal. So it feels like AI is generative AI today is AI, which is much more user driven or engaging the user. So it engages the user. It's not like the user has to. So that's where the prompt engineering comes in, because I think the prompt engineering is kind of a misleading tech driven word again, but
Yeah.
it's generating, but it expects the user to interact. So you say draw this, you say change the tone, you're talking to the AI instead of the so I would say in the past the AI was talking to us or was silently running the data and making predictions. It's still making
Correct.
predictions, it's making imperfect predictions, but now it appears to be talking to us. That's why, like a lot more people, and especially in your vision of bringing everybody into this, everybody who's not coding, everybody who's not a data engineer, who doesn't even have a math background like you, when they engage with AI and AI is engaging with them, it calls them to talk to them, which I think is beautiful. Okay, I'll give it back to you.
No,
Uh,
this is so true. Mhm.
Yeah, so, honestly speaking, I want to also retract something, Sudha, that even before generative AI was in our face, I realized that the fact that AI is in our applications, is with every person who's on a connected device and via the data, as a consumer, as an AI practitioner, everyone should be AI literate, because they're interacting with the AI without knowing it, and they're getting imperfect decisions, which is why I thought it was important for people to be AI literate. Today, generative AI has helped my cause, the first challenge that I faced, where now people are recognizing that, yes, I need to be AI literate, I need to upskill myself, I need to understand this, and it seems possible for me. So that is definitely a shift that has happened. Would you like me to jump in and show you Adobe and why I like Adobe? So, most people have heard about Midjourney, DALL-E, Stable Diffusion. And the reason I didn't opt for one of those platforms is because all of those platforms have actually trained the data with data from the internet without really taking permission from the users, from the creators of the data. Adobe, on the other hand, had their own data, and they decided to build a platform on their own data and not take data from others without the permission. The second reason why I like Adobe is because they are transparent. Anything that I generate using Adobe has a watermark. I like that because as AI is becoming so powerful, it's becoming harder and harder to distinguish between what is real and what is AI generated. So if you have these watermarks on AI generated content, it's showing responsible behavior from the user. So those are the two primary reasons why I decided to showcase Adobe, and which is why I personally advocate the use of Adobe. And I hope other platforms decide to go down this pathway. Would you like me to show
Yeah,
show
Yeah.
you?
this is fantastic. In fact, we had a Senate hearing on AI and copyright, and the Chief Trust Officer of Adobe, Dr. Rao, was there, and he was making this statement about how they are doing this in a respective way with the creative community. But I did not know the specifics of that, so I'm happy to see that. Thank you.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
and
it will be really interesting to see the watermark.
yeah. So, also I want to show you the way I decided to use Adobe as a user
Mhm.
who's not intrinsically creative. So when you go into Adobe, fireflow.adobe.com, and there's something called the gallery. you can actually see things which have been created by the community. And what I would suggest is for a first-time user is to really first go into the gallery and see something they like. So for example, I'm Supriya and this is S and it's a twisted drift wood. So what I could do is maybe try this prompt, and instead of firefly, make it actually all three are S's. So S was a very apt letter to choose today, S and AI. And what we could do is have it generate SNAI in the twisted driftwood. Or if you don't like this, we could try something else. I like bling. So sequence. And what color do you like? Anybody wants to give it a go? Maybe blue and
Blue is good.
blue and okay, blue. Shiny, maybe. And let's see what it does. So it's taking a couple of minutes to generate and see, voila. It's such a quick way to get going. And of course, you have things on the left side where you can change the letters, the font, you can play around with the background color and things like that. So that's a very, very easy way of starting with this. And then you have a download option. And the moment I download this, see, it says promoting transparency in AI. And I'll just say continue. And it's giving you the content that generated with Firefly AI. By the way, this is in beta, so this is not for commercial use. And if I open this up, you will see that it's got the watermark, which is what I like. It's just responsible behavior from the users.
I think we didn't see the opened one that you down. No issues.
I will just try. I'm just going to quickly download it again. So here's a download button. And I'm going to say, okay. Can you see this on the left-hand side, Adobe Firefly? Does it show up?
I think you're seeing the picture. We are not seeing the picture because you shared only the browser.
Okay,
that's okay.
So I will try to show it to you again.
Yeah.
Does this, now can you see it?
Yeah. Okay, that's the one. Okay, that's what
the Adobe Firefly,
okay.
Not for commercial use. So that's nice, right? And you could see how quickly I could start with the platform just by remixing things. And I'm just going to go back and share screen. One moment. And you can see my screen again?
Yeah.
So that was on text effects. So I'll just take you back to the platform. In Adobe, they have a very clean platform where you can do text to image, you can do generative fill, you can do text effects, and these are still in exploration, so they're not been started yet. But I'll also like to show you text to image. And here again, you have a gallery. So if you want to start with something from here, if you like an image and you're not really sure what filters work, and what prompts to give, you can always start by remixing here. By the way, I don't know whether people realize that my presentation, all the images on it were generated by Adobe.
Oh, okay.
So it just made life easier for me. So either we can remix something over here. Would anybody like to go for something? Maybe.
So do you also teach like prompt engineering, how to work with prompts using Adobe Firefly?
So, currently what we are doing is, because these technologies are moving so quickly, we follow the thumb rule of, what is it that you want to create? What is the purpose you want to create it for? What kind of a filter do you want? But to answer your question in a short sentence, we don't have a method, for this system, because I think it also is evolving. And I think the way the platforms are evolving, one will not necessarily need prompt engineering. It will become more NLP. Sorry, go ahead, Sudha.
No, I just was talking to you just before we started on this. Robert Schwenter, who's been an instructor here before, is actually working on a prompt engineering course. In fact, a
Yeah.
series of prompt engineering courses. He's been doing like a study group with some of my students for the last couple months, and we will be. I'm happy to share the prompt engineering course here when he's ready, likely in couple months. Yeah.
Oh, great.
Very
And
comprehensive prompt engineering course across all platforms. But he's been giving me mid-journey images on everything I tell him. When I draw a flying train or something, it's like a funky one, and then when he gives me like with the right prompts, it looks perfect. So he's been giving me images for which I've been showing in all my talks. Even in my book Generative AI, a primer for product and business managers, I have a couple images that are generated by Robert Schwenkter. So if somebody here is listening and is interested in prompt engineering, follow Robert Schwenkter, and on LinkedIn I will tag him. And then, when he's ready in the next couple months, maybe you would be interested in to check out his prompt engineering course.
He was also here, I think, about 2 months back, and he did do one of the Weeklywed sessions on prompt engineering.
Yes, I should find that. So
Yeah.
if we look into, if somebody's following our YouTube, should be there under the Weeklywed
Yeah.
channel. I'll put that out. Thank you, Sneha. I forgot that. Yes, it was
Yes.
not just my Stanford class. He was here, and so he did that, right? So as a follow up, lot of my immediate Stanford students wanted to learn more, and so it's kind of evolved into a bigger study group, and he's building out the prompt engineering course. So
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, thank you. I'll share that on LinkedIn, guys.
Yeah. So sorry for the digression, Supriya, but we just try to add more as much information as possible for our audience as we speak about it.
fair enough. I'll just show one more quick one on Adobe for people to get started. So, I like this origami rose. And if I try this prompt, so I can choose different variations. I still like this one. Okay, 1 second. And what I'm going to do is, instead of having a rose flower, I can actually make it maybe into a swan and see what it gives me. And, here you can see some of the filters popping up, where digital art is the one that was part of the prompt engineering for this image. But of course, users can then use other styles, tones, lighting, composition. I mean, it's a great way to get started. And all you have to do again is choose an image you like. And then if you want to do a generative fill, you can actually go in here and click on this. If you wanted to make more variations, you could do show similar. So I'm just waiting for it to generate. And I'll just show you 1 or 2 effects of this so that people can get started with Adobe Firefly. Sorry, it's taking a little time generating. And if we were to stay with this, because I still like this a lot, what I can also do is a generative fill. And here, what you can do is actually remove the background by clicking on the background image. I'm sorry if I'm going too fast. And here,
No, you're perfect.
If I wanted, I could have a warm dawn, or maybe, that doesn't make any sense. Put him in a lake, a serene lake, maybe, and see what happens. So, with the tools, they're pretty powerful that you can put in simple words and generate things. And there, isn't that lovely?
Yeah.
And then I can keep it and I can download it. I can subtract things from this image using the subtract. There are brush settings, so that help you to erase things. But I think this sort of gives an idea for users to start off with Firefly. The reason I'm also rushing a little bit, because there's another really nice platform that I'm exploring. We have just started to use it for our students. It's called Landing AI by Andrew Ng. And it works on visual prompting. So that if you don't have any questions here, should I move on to Landing AI?
Yeah, I think we can move on to. Sudha, do you have anything? I think you're saying your hand raised. I think we're good. Go ahead with Landing AI.
Yeah. So because we are on generative AI, the other platform that I really like is Landing AI. And this is, one second, I'm just going to share my screen. So, as we all know, the people over here who make models, they know that traditionally the way models are made is by collecting large amounts of data, cleaning the data, and then training it, making a model, make sure that it is uh, deployable, and then to start using the model. And this process takes a lot of time and effort and can go up to months or a lot of weeks to do that. Visual prompting, on the other hand, is generative AI, for making models in computer vision using simple prompts on an image. So if you can see in this demo, this bird is getting highlighted uh, and it says hummingbird. And then there's another segmentation happening for the background. And just with a simple sweep of your stylus, you can make a working model for work. And what prompted Andrew Ng to make this platform was to democratize, data science for business people, for people, which is again close to my heart of getting AI literacy for all. So I'll quickly show you a few fun things. So obviously, computer vision has many, many applications, from life sciences to healthcare to agriculture to, um, conservation to manufacturing. But I'm going to go with a fun one. And the good thing about Landing AI is that people who want to try it, they can try it for a month for free. And it's very self-explanatory, so you can play around with it. So I'm going to go with one of the pre-built models, which is to detect what kind of a playing card it is. And I want to show you that you have something called a training data that it has been trained with. Is just loading up, and you'll be surprised to know how small the data set is and yet how accurate it turns out to be. So you can see that the training data was 219 images, and there are bounding boxes around them to distinguish between a spade, a diamond, a heart, a club. And now if I go into predict, I can either drop images, from my computer, or I can use a webcam. So today I'm going to try it with the webcam, and my background is blurred. I will just have to quickly unblur myself. Can you give me a second, please, so that this image is...
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. And now I'm going to use my webcam. And can you see the screen? And I'm holding up diamonds.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to say predict. And let's see what it does. It is taking a little time, I guess, because we are both on Zoom and on Landing AI, but it's fairly accurate. Sneha, so that do you all have any questions while we are waiting for it? There you go. It's running a prediction.
Yeah. No, I think this is so.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think no, this is interesting. So I think I can see when you mentioned that, hey, we have these non-tech users come in, and when they see this, okay, I think it's done.
It says diamond. You can see the prediction. Isn't that cool? So this was one of the pre-built models. And what I did was, for today's live, I actually also went in and built a model on pest detector. So, I want to actually, before I go into the pest detector, I wanted to show you how simple it is. It's a 4-step process where you create a new project, and you have to upload the data, you have to label it, you have to train it, and then you give it new data to get the prediction. And then the platform is such that you can also deploy your model once you're happy with it, either on the cloud or landing AI edge. So I've not yet deployed the model yet, but I can show you the kinds of models that you can build with visual prompting. So there are 4 kinds of models that one can build. Either you can do something called object detection, when there are images in a larger picture. You can do segmentation, you can do classification, and in beta is visual prompting. So I think this is what is really cutting edge, and I'm excited to see how this evolves. So coming back to my project, I want to show you what I built with the pest detector. So I actually trained it just with 29 images this morning, with images from the net, which had, there were leaves which did not have a pest and leaves that did have a pest, right? And all I had to do is upload these pictures. So I can also show you how I did it. I went to Google. Can you see my Google page?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just searched for pictures, downloaded in a folder and uploaded it here. And once I'd uploaded it, I labeled it by making bounding boxes around each, to classify it. The purple ones are pest, the yellow ones are not a pest. And once they were labeled, I trained it. And now let me show you a prediction, just to see how it works. So I can say predict, and I can actually take any of the images. As you can see, this one does not have any pests. You can see my images, right?
Yeah.
And let's hope that it gets it right. See, no pest.
Yep.
And for somebody who wants to fine tune the model, you have all the parameters here that you can fine tune it with. Also, if there are any incorrect predictions that you want to change, one can go back and change it. So I can just go and explore what's going on here, because it said that these were incorrect predictions.
Yeah.
And I can look at this and say that, why is it saying it's incorrect? It's not incorrect. This is a pest. So we are okay with it.
Yeah. So I have a good question, Supriya. So your non-tech users, with children, I understand, but like women, non-tech users, where do they take this learning, and where do they apply it? Like, do they? So I'm just curious about that part.
So I would not teach the visual prompting landing AI to women, who would not have a use for it. I would teach it for my corporate training for businesses who were looking for a solution for computer vision for their organization. For women, again, depending upon the use case, what industry they are in, accordingly, we would do workshops on generative AI with image and text, and show them how to use that effectively and more responsibly. But I would not use AI.
Awesome.
And project, they don't have enough data.
Okay.
So augmenting data, they could use visual prompting.
Okay.
So we don't have a one size fits all. We teach according to the use case.
Okay. Is there? I mean, I understand there are legal reasons why you can't share, but is there any examples you can share from your corporate training or the industries that you cater to within the corporate course?
So we actually ran a corporate training for luxury publication, who are in lifestyle, and they wanted to upskill their workers to be able to learn, how to use generative AI for writing and for image creation, for their organization.
Awesome.
And so that was one use case, and we were very happy to do that, being AI educators, because we've realized that training don't necessarily focus on privacy issues, on responsible AI practices, because everybody else is still doing it, right? And then you wonder that, is it okay? Like, today you will see also on LinkedIn, which is a professional platform, that people are using celebrities, to generate more images about them. And I think that is, in my mind, irresponsible behavior.
Mhm.
And when everybody's still trying to get their head around what is AI, if you start doing these use cases, which is not respecting people, I mean, what precedent are we setting?
Right.
We distinguish ourselves in that sense. In fact, I had a question, Sudha, and I wanted to ask you whether you can help me with this. We are wanting to try good automation, AI platforms for businesses like a Zapier, or an Otter AI or a Firefly AI, things that are going to be incorporated in the Microsoft and Google workspace anyway, which are going to help enhance our productivity. But how does the enterprise or the user protect their data? How do they know what they are giving away? What is the real price they are paying? Because if I'm an ethical AI educator, I need to get my facts right. I can't just give a disclaimer saying, do it at your own risk. What do I do? What is your advice to me?
So I think there is a huge excitement. Most of my students are from enterprise, right? And I also do workshops very rarely, but focused for companies. And one of the things they want to do is they want to adopt generative AI, and there is an excitement towards generative AI, but they want it for some business growth, for something more meaningful, which means it is using their data. So initially when chat gpt came and it became a big wave, that was one of the things that enterprise was pushing back, right? So there's a whole bunch of so the first thing what the platforms did is they said, oh, we will allow you to not not put your we will not save your data. So if they put their data and they use, say, playground and chat gpt or GPT-4 or the enterprise version of chat gpt and all that, they say, hey, we are not going to take your data and do training with it, right? If they train with the data, that gets into the brain of the AI, which is like a whole different game, right? So that's what enterprise doesn't want. So some enterprise, depending on the size of them, might be okay with it, trusting that, hey, it is not, we put that data out, but it is not. But 99.9% of any big company will not allow that. Amazon on AWS has come with a bunch of services for generative AI, where they say, you're hosting in our cloud like you were always doing it. Now you do that. And there's a whole cloud play, right? Other cloud companies must be having it, but I have students from Amazon, so I'm familiar with that. So that is one, you keep your own cloud and you use that. The other thing is, depending on the size of the company, so the whole concept of generative AI, of how it is done is, in normal AI, I'm talking about enterprise, right? How enterprise does it is, normal AI, uh, enterprise is any companies, manufacturing, oil and gas, or education, any of them, right? So they have their data and they're saying, hey, we can improve this process, we can increase revenues for us, we can do something with an AI prediction, right? And so in the past, what they would do is, they will not build the model from scratch. They will take a model as an API from one of the tech companies, and they will now do modeling, or what they will do is retrain that model with their data, right? That's what they were doing, right? And with generative AI, they do a similar thing, but it's not modeling. Generative AI is built with a foundation model, which is learning from the internet. It is learning from this huge massive volume of data, right? Like language models or image models or something like that, which is a big foundation model, which is unsupervised learning, right? So and then they do something called fine tuning with their own data, which is taking this big model which says, I know to speak Marathi with you or English with you, right? And you want to build a chatbot to offer customer service for a bank, right? And then this bank customers come ask top 10 questions that the bank wants to serve them. And so what kind of questions they ask, how do they ask, when they ask something, it means something else. All that information is in the data. So when they say enterprise data, It's customer service data from the past, marketing data from the past, manufacturing process data from the past that the companies have, right? So they do this thing called fine tuning. So if they have data scientists in-house, and large companies are still going for that, they will take one of these foundation models, but they will do the supervised learning with their data set or the fine tuning in-house. So that is one that they could do. If they are comfortable, they could go, if they're already hosting with a cloud provider, then they can say we keep the data in the cloud and do that. One of the things I was talking about, Robert Schwenkter coming up with a prompt engineering course, and I have this in my book also, the Generative AI Primer for Product and Business Managers. I have a section on this where you could do prompt engineering to generate code um, without giving the data. So the data itself could be, the data could be sitting in a database of some kind. You could have the generative AI platform. Instead of just feeding the data, you add the data in the prompt. So it is there during that session, it runs, it generates the code by which you get the inference model that will make the prediction. Once you close the session, it's gone. So your data doesn't go anywhere else, right? The data doesn't go even to a cloud server. So that is one, but it's very tedious if you have a huge volume of data. So there are people who have done, videos on YouTube about keeping your data in a big Excel sheet, and then do prompt engineering, make it go access the Excel sheet for which you would give a login and access, and it talks to ChatGPT, it does things, but it doesn't go into the brain of ChatGPT, and you close the session, it's gone. So there are three ways, right? One, if you have an in-house data science team, then you take an existing generative AI unsupervised foundation model, and then do fine tuning or supervised learning with your own data set. One of the companies that does this very well for chat is UIB, Ken Heron's company. And what they do is they have been providing chatbots for all kinds of chatbot situations, marketing or customer service, whatnot. And they are not focused on just the chat, right? They say we provide you an intelligent chat interface, but you can talk to WhatsApp, you can talk to messaging of all kinds in different countries, and they've also integrated into ChatGPT the same way. But they do this where if your goal is to just do and what they've done is they have taken all these different chat platforms, including ChatGPT, and embedded into their platforms. So I was listing three methods, right? One is you have an in-house data science team, you take an existing foundation model, and then you do fine tuning. Or you can go with platforms like UIB, which is saying, I have this, and here is my reference customers, and they have hundreds of customers. And then you build on top of their platform, and then your data is protected because they work with you to do that. Or you can do prompt engineering with that format, where it is sitting in a data, but it will run so you're kind of exposing the data during the session, and it is doing that. Or you could have the data in the cloud if it is using AWS or one of those
Awesome.
generative AI models. So
yeah. Thank you so much, Sudha. Thank you. So Supriya, thank you so much for joining. This was very helpful. Thank you for the audience to join us. I think this was the first session back, and we're going to talk more about generative AI. We're going to get more speakers to talk in detail about specific aspects of generative AI. So stay tuned, and we will see you next Wednesday. Once again, thank you, Supriya, and thank you, Sudha, for bringing us all together on this platform. So see you guys, everyone. Bye-bye.
So Sneha, can I just talk about next week if you'll give me a minute?
Yeah, sure. So that and we can close. We can close. Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, sounds good. So we're starting this whole series on generative AI. I've been researching generative AI and wrote the book on generative AI. And then every class I thought everybody is talking AI is only generative AI. So there's this big, and there's a lot more hype. I mean, my thing is every time I see something as a hype, I want to kind of demystify. That's kind of my calling. And so so we're going to have a whole series on this. And thank you, Supriya. This was very fantastic. And I'm shocked you called yourself a non-techie in the beginning when you're a math major, and you're a brilliant mathematician. And I love how you're doing no code AI to bring AI to everybody, uh, and care about the ethics of it. That's the best part. So like us people who are teachers who are teaching AI and the excitement of AI have the responsibility to do that without sounding preachy, but giving the right tools, thinking about, it shows your experience where you're coming from. You're working with enterprise who's asking you this question, right? That's why you're so smart about this and finding answers. So I appreciate that. So next week we are going to have myself, Susanna Raj, and Priya Sarin coming together from Global South in AI. We're going to do a session on generative AI around the globe. Like we are talking about generative AI, what is available in generative AI in Nigeria, what is available in Philippines, what is available in India. Recently, I visited India, and there was news from here about some chatbot called Jugalbandi API. Maybe you would want to try that out. And you can build a chatbot using Microsoft's platform, um, and AI for Bharat, and it will chat in 10 different Indian languages. I couldn't get my hands on it because you need to talk to the people to get the Jugalbandi API. So thing is, and some other countries the AI might be biased and not understand their language. So I have somebody from South Sudan who wants to build AI to talk to in Bari language, which is not supported by any of the big tech companies. I don't know why, right? Even with whatever transfer learning or zero shot learning that they do, they don't support Bari language. And so we are going to talk about what is the reality of generative AI. Is it being helpful? Is it being harmful? What is available in different countries? And to just get the lay of the land. And we try to keep things very global and not very biased in, whatever languages we know or whatever countries, you know, we have our students and audience from. We want to kind of make it open. So that's the Global South in AI team will be here next week, including me, and we are going to talk about AI across the countries and global countries, because we have a call for abstract coming up on a related topic. I can't tell you about this. The official announcement is next week. So that's going to be at Weeklywed next week. So Supriya, if this works, if it's not too crazy late for you, if you can join us, we would love it. And I'm happy to follow up offline on maybe collaborating on some things. Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Sudha. Again, I will definitely now be plugged in for your weekly Wednesdays. It's a great way to keep yourself upskilled too. And I enjoyed being here today with you.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. Okay, bye everybody. I'm going to stop the live stream, but it is on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can just subscribe to the channel, and you'll get all the live stream. If you are watching this on what I shared on LinkedIn, I'm adding some screen grabs and some comments and resources. I'm very big on doing this to get us to share resources, best practices, find amazing people like Supriya who are changing the world in, from her world where she is. And so feel free to come tag your friends, or add other resources if you're working in a related field, or you want to collaborate with Supriya, or you want to work with her. Just feel free to follow. Okay, bye everybody, stay safe. I'll see you next week. Stopping
Bye-bye.
the stream now. 1 second. Here we go.